Welcome back to the Faulks YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to build your very own gaming PC. One thing to note about this video is there is no end-all be-all to building PCs. Everyone has their own way of doing it. I'm just showing you my way. What I'm going to be doing first is I'm going to be taking this case apart, such as removing this tempered glass case here. I'm going to be pulling off the front, and I'm going to be pulling off the back pane just to make things easier to access. The first thing that I do when building a PC is I find the accessory box that I have here, and this cardboard box you see on screen. This was located in a hard drive bay in the front. I'll show you guys that in a moment. So let's go ahead and take off the tempered case. And this particular case has 4 screws. When taking apart any type of device or case, always remember to keep a hold of all of your screws, which is why I'm putting them all in one spot. Now this is tempered glass, so the last thing we want this thing to do is drop, so be very careful when removing this. Don't worry about fingerprints, you can always wipe them down. I'm going to set this aside, and as you can see, this is the inside of the box. We have one fan here, that we have a place for a fan, and we have a place for a 120 millimeter, two 120 millimeters fans, or you can do a 240 AIO, which is a all-in-one cooler. Here's the accessory box this guy comes with. You have zip ties and a lot of screws. And we have a few instruction manuals as well. I'm going to set this aside. Now as you can see, we have 2 cables protruding out of this hole. This is coming from different things from the back. We'll see that in a moment. Let's go ahead and turn this here to the back. This slot here, I don't know if the camera's picking up holes very well with this black. This slot here is going to be for the power supply. This is going to be the first thing I put in this case. So for me, I always do the power supply first so I can get my cable routing correct. Here are IO. This is the IO shield here. We're not gonna put this in place until we're ready to put the motherboard in. These are also little tabs you can remove when putting in graphics cards or audio cards or any type of cards you want to put in. And there's the back of our fan. We're going to rotate this guy around again. We have 2 screws. Most cases will come with 2 screws. Go ahead and remove the screws on the back. Pull this out. Again, this will fall if you don't have a good grasp on it, so make sure you hold in that. I'm going to set this aside. Here is our current cable routing. I'm not going to do too much with this. I'm going to be adding my cables through this as well. This is a spot. Most new cases will have this. This is where you'll put your SSD in if you have an SSD. We don't have one of those for this case at this moment. Maybe later on we'll add one, but for now we're going to leave that empty. Now most cases as well, front panels do pop off. So this one does pop off, which I'll be doing shortly. I've already put my stickers on. Before this, to remove this, we're just going to pull the bottom out first. And there we go. Alright guys, we got the case pulled off. The camera's not going to zoom well on these, but just know this is the for the motherboard, ultra durable. That's my G-Skill RAM, and that's the i3 8th Gen sticker. So I'm going to set that aside. Now up here is our hard drive slots. You can remove these by pulling the tabs. I'm pulling out here and here. We have 2 slots. We're only going to be using one of these today, so I'm just going to put these back in place. Alright guys, with a little bit of fighting, I was able to get this hard drive in. We have a hard drive here, an empty slot here. So we're going to go ahead and spin this guy around. Okay, let me investigate the wiring here. Alright. So what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to go ahead and put the power supply in here. Let me grab that now. Alright guys, so we got the power supply along with the cables here. This is the EVGA 450 BT edition. So in the box with the power supply, it's always going to come with a bag of screws. We're going to be wanting to use these screws with this power supply. By the way, it also comes with a power cable. So what we want to do next is we want to unbox this guy fully. Okay, we got it unboxed here. Now, the power supply This is very important. Some people say put the fan facing down, others facing up. It really all depends on what type of case you have. My case is not going to be flat against carpet. This case isn't, so I'm going to put the fan facing down. The fan is going to be sucking in air. If you were putting it flat down on carpet, you would want to have the fan facing up. But this also has a nice little vent here to collect dust. So we're going to want to utilize that to have the fan facing down. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and also unwrap this cabling. We're going to be doing some cable management once we get everything in. But for now, here's how I like to get this in place. We're going to slide it in. Make sure you move the cables, any cabling that's in here as well, make sure you move that out of the way. And just kind of push this along the back here. Like so. That's how we want it right there. We can leave these cables hanging out, it's not a big deal, because these will need to be routed to the correct location once we get to that point. So, I see my screw holes lining up. So all I need to do now is screw this guy in. Alright guys, I got these fully screwed in. It is secure, it's not going anywhere. So what I want to do now is, I'm pretty much done with the case for now. I gotta go ahead and build the motherboard. But what I can go ahead and do is put the I/O shield in. This is basically self-explanatory. It's called an I/O shield. It's an input-output shield, basically. This will line up exactly to the motherboard. This came with the motherboard, so I know we're not going to have any issues there. Now when putting this in, guys, you want to go ahead and put it in here, but we need to see how the motherboard is going to line up with this, so let me do that now. Alright guys, when handling a motherboard, be very careful. Any type of shot, electrostatic, any type of small, tiny bit of electricity can fry the board. I don't have a proper strap. If you're going to be building a PC and you haven't done this before, I'll recommend you guys buying a anti-static strap. Those things are around $5 to $6 on Newegg, and I've done this many times, so I'm not going to wear one. I know what I'm doing, and I'm very careful. Now, you can't really see much in here, but what I can make out from here is the ports here, and I know exactly how it's going to fit in here. So, based on what I see here, I'm going to go ahead and add in the I/O shield. And it goes just like this. And the motherboard shield comes with little tabs. They will pop right in with a tiny bit of force. You don't want to force it all the way through, or this thing will bend out of shape. But that's all you want to do. Just pop it in, and I'm tapping it, and it is sturdy. Very nice. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move this case, and we're going to start working on the motherboard. Alright guys, when doing the motherboard, it's very important to look over your guide. This came with this guy, and inside is the drivers. This is very important. I'm going to set this aside. I will be using this when I set up the PC. So now I'm going to refer to the guide and see what the best placement is for the CPU. So I'll be back with you guys in a moment. Alright guys, so we're back, and as you can see here, you probably can't see it, but I'm just going to tell you what it says. It's an install in the CPU guide. Most motherboards will be the same, but some are different. Such as the build I did a month ago with my Prime Z370A motherboard. That was a tad bit different. It had actually a plastic piece to help guide your CPU into the slots. This one does not come with that, so let's go ahead and get this open. Alright guys, this is the motherboard. Let's see if I can get this in focus here. I don't know how well it's going to focus, but you can see your ports here. You have 4 USB 3.0s, you have an Ethernet port, I think it's a GIG port, you have your audio, You have your DVI-D connection. It even comes with a PS2 connection and two 2.0 USBs and a HDMI cable. And here are your ports. We got RAM slots. CPU will go here. You have your power, and you have tons of other cables we're gonna be hooking up when we do the build. These are our PCIe Express. This will be where our graphics card goes. This supports a M.2 SATA drive, which we're not going to be using. It also supports Optane as well. So yeah, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and start building this board out. Alright guys, here's a close-up of the motherboard. Anytime, like I mentioned before, anytime when handling these motherboards, be very careful. Any type of static shot can ruin the board. So what I have it on right now is a piece of a cardboard box, and between that I have an anti-static bag. It's very important to do this. If you do not do this, you do risk harming the board, just because of the stat that could transfer from any type of other material. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now, I'm going to go ahead and install the memory, and then we're going to install the CPU. Now the memory is normally labeled, and right here I see DDR4 1 through 4, and I'm going to be installing this into the 1 slot. So to install it, you just line up the notch, and you put it here, and just push down, like so. Once you hear 2 clicks, you know that you have it in properly. Alrighty. The next thing I'm going to be doing is installing the CPU. What you want to look at on the CPU is you're going to look for the notch. Now I don't know if it's going to focus well, but there's a triangle right there. We want to make sure we line it up to the triangle that's also in the socket here. So I'm going to grab the camera, and I apologize for the camera work here, but I'm going to open up this socket so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to push down this tab to open. Right here, pull it away, pull it up here. Now, if you look on this board, you can see that there's no signs of triangles here, but if you look close right here, I know it's not focusing well and I apologize, but there's a triangle here. So that's where we're going to line this up at. So, let's do that now. Alright guys, here is the CPU. The notch is right here. Notch is right here. A triangle right there. I wish my camera will focus, but it's not going to do well. All I need to do is be very gentle and drop this in place, like so. Make sure there's no play. It lines up with all tabs. As you can see, it's fun to get you closer. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this down. Don't worry about this. This will pop out in time. As you can see what it's about to do now. And it just released. Now I just released this. I'm going to remove this out of the way. Alright guys, what you just witnessed was very shady and horrible camera work. I apologize. My office is not fully equipped for this type of thing just yet. But we have the CPU installed. We have the RAM installed. The next thing we need to install is the heatsink. Now before installing the heatsink, I do want to say that in most scenarios, you're going to need to install the motherboard into the case before doing this, especially if you have a big bulky cooler like I did. I made the mistake of installing that first and trying to install that into the case, which is a big no-no. Don't do that. If you have a big cooler, just go ahead and install the motherboard first. If you have a small one like I do, it shouldn't hurt. So let's do that now. So guys, when installing a CPU cooler like this, a stock one, before installing it, you want to locate where it plugs in at, and this guy plugs in right here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's this gray with the 4 pins. That's where mine is going to be plugging in, and it's even labeled CPU fan. So I want to orientate this where it'll make the most sense. So let me see if it will make the most sense here. Alrighty. Alright guys, as you can see, it is a pretty big reach, so it will not make sense to install it like this. I'm going to turn it one more time here. And this is where it makes the most sense. So what we're going to do, we're going to pop it in place. When putting this guy in place, you want to do it. On opposite ends, such as here to here to here to here. Alright, so we're going to plug this in here. There we go. Alright guys, so when worried about this table here, let me rotate this motherboard so you can see it. So what's great about these CPU coolers is these guys are designed for cable management. So there's a notch here. I'm just going to roll these cables in through here. The black one seems to be having some trouble, so I'm going to see if I can give it a little bit of leeway. There we go. I want to just tuck. And guys, I'm just going to try to take as much out as possible here. Alright guys, so for cable management, you can do many things with this type of cable. Some people would cut it to length. I'm going to just maneuver this cable around so it will be out of the way, like so. And I know it's not going to touch that fan. Now, the next step, let me rotate this again. The next step that we have to do here is go ahead and install this into the case. There's nothing else to do here because everything is going to be installed once we get it into the case. So let's go ahead and do that now, and I'll show you guys how to put a motherboard in a case. And guys, before I move on, I want to make it clear that the CPU cooler comes with a layer of thermal paste already applied. So because of that, and because this is an i3-8100, there's no need for me to add more. Adding more would only put too much paste on the CPU, and the CPU isn't going to be getting that hot because it's in a very cool area. So if you're going with a stock cooler, and it all depends on the work that you're going to be making this processor do. I know the environment this computer is going in is going to be in a very cool room, and I know that this one layer of thermal paste that was already applied will be perfectly fine. If you're going to be put in a very hot room, then you may want to scrape off the paste and apply some Arctic cooler or some liquid metal, depending on how hot it's going to be. But in this instance, since this is going into a cool environment, very cool house, there's no need for me to scrape off the current thermal paste and apply more. Just use what is already on there. Alright, let's move on to getting this guy into the case. Alright guys, as you know, I'm a one-man cameraman, so this isn't going to be the most prettiest work, but I'm going to do my best to make it where you guys can understand it fully. So I got the case on the side, I got the cables hanging off the edge of the table, that way I'm not squishing any cables. I got two cables protruding here. I'm going to go ahead and move those out of the case so I can have a clear work area. So as you can see, I'm pushing them out now. Alright, this is all clear. There's nothing blocking my view. My I/O shield is here. My fan is here. This has a cable protruding out of here. And the motherboard is going to go in this area. I'm going to put another fan here. That's going to have to wait until we get the motherboard in. So the motherboard's here. If you're not wearing an anti-static bag, go ahead and touch something metal to make sure nothing happens when you pick this guy up. So let's pick him up. And before I do this, guys, there's one other thing I need to talk about. Set that down. Now, if you have an older case, one thing that you'll need to do is screw off any type of standoffs. Mine, I don't know if you can see them, these little notches here that are protruding from the case, these are my standoffs. There's no need for me to apply standoffs as mine has them here. And that will line up with the motherboard. So now that we got that out of the way, let's pick up the motherboard very gently here and put this in place. Alright guys, I got it in place. My holes are lined up, as you can see. As you probably cannot see, but just know they are. And what you want to screw in is these holes like this. These circles with the metal on the holes here. Let's see if I can get a good close word. These right here. Those are the ones that you're going to want to put screws through. Nothing else on the board needs to be screwed down but those. Alright, so I'm going to put you down once again. Also guys, before sitting you down, I want to talk about the screws. Now, as you can see here, the this came with the motherboard. There's tons of screws, random screws. What you want to do is find out which ones match your holes and use those. Mine turns out to be these type of screws here. I'm pretty sure you can't see that, but just know I have enough to screw into the motherboard. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright guys, so we got the motherboard in. After you get the motherboard bolted into the case, what I'd recommend is go ahead and add all your peripherals, your graphics card. Go ahead and add your fan if you're going to be using a fan before you wire everything in. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to be mounting a fan. I've thought about it and I think it's best to mount the fan here. Now guys, when mounting fans, make sure you pay attention. Most of the time there's going to be some type of arrow, some type of notch indicating the direction of the airflow. I want air to be coming through the front and exit through the back. And so because of that, this fan I'm looking at has a arrow pointing this way. So if the arrow is pointing this way, air is going to be going that way as well. So I'm going to be bolting the fan up like this. That way it can suck in air, blow it through here, let the CPU use whatever air it needs, and let it exit the back. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this up, and I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see that, but I got the fan mounted here. I have my wire running through here. There is a CPU fan plug-in right here. This fan too. I'm going to have it plugged in here and coming out through this back for cable management. Alright, so next on our list is install the graphics card. Now again, the graphics card that we have is a 650 Ti. That's a perfect card to be using for what we need it for. So this PC's goal is to 1, be able to game stream on the Nvidia Shield, and 2, to play games on 1080p. High quality, low quality, as long as it can play 1080p, that's all we care about. And the 650 Ti, for most games, we'll be able to do that. For the newer games, brand new games, that may be an issue. But for that, we can drop down to 720p. So to remove this, we have 2 screws here. You just remove these screws. And this just pulls out like that. Alright guys, here's our graphics card. I'm going to pull this out the back here. This is the 650 Ti. Very nice card, and how it's going to be mounted, it's going to be mounted like this. And it's going to use the top, let's see, let me fit it in here real quick. So the slots we're going to be using are these 2 here. It's best to go ahead and fit it before you actually start moving things. And guys, that's exactly what I did. I fit it here to see which ports we'll be using, and that's these 2 here. The top one we're going to leave in place, but these 2 are going to be pulled out. So I can't do this with my fingers, so let me get this handy tool here. If you have a screwdriver, that would be even better. This is the only thing I had laying around upstairs. Now, let's insert the graphics card. I'm going to turn it this way. So the graphics card uses PCIe. That's PCIe Express. And we're going to be sliding it in here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I apologize if you can't. But it's pretty self-explanatory. Just put it in the port here. Don't forget to push this down. But slide it into place. Like so. Like this. And just push it. And it is locked in place. Now the screws are going to help hold this guy down. So let's go ahead and get this screwed in. And here's what it looks like on the back. Alright guys, so here it is. It's all plugged in and ready to go. All I need to do is screw this back in. So let me turn this a little bit to make it more convenient for you guys and screw these back in for you. So the next thing to do, go ahead and put this right here back in place. So as you can see, I'm just pushing it in, sliding it right there. And we just need to screw 2 screws there, and we'll be done with this portion. I'm going to show you guys how to wire this guy up next. This is the hardest part of the build, but honestly, it's nothing to worry about. The key thing about this, guys, is to make sure the cables don't overwhelm you. I mean, as you can see, there are a ton of cables here. Now, because you have all these cables, don't worry about it. Most of these will not be used. And that's the key thing to take away from this, is some of these will be used, others will not. And the ones that we will not be using, we'll just tuck back in here and nicely tie them up with Velcro or zip ties, whatever you have available. Alright guys, so here's the back of the case here. Here's our motherboard, the back of the motherboard. I've inspected our cables, and for the most of these we will not be using. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just move the cables that I will not be using. These three will be used, so I'm going to move these over here. And this connection here is going to provide power to our hard drive as well as the case. So that's the first thing that I'm going to be plugging up. Okay guys, so there's no real true tutorial on how to plug in everything from the power supply. The best thing to do is to find the cables, find out where they go to, look up in your manual if you need to, and just plug away. I'm going to go ahead and plug everything up, and I'll see you guys in a moment. If you want to see a tutorial on how to wire everything, let me know, and I'll do that in a future video, but I don't think there's a need of it right now. Just know that if you need to build a PC, and you're confused about what cables go where, go ahead and do some research, read your manual, and find out the best way to plug this in. Alright guys, so we're back to the computer here. I have finished all of the wiring. I'll show you that in a moment. Here is the front view of it. I apologize if the lighting isn't that great, but I have everything plugged in here and looking good. Cable management is looking pretty nice as well. I'm going to flip it around to show you what it looks like on the back here. Alright guys, so here's the full view of my cable management. I have the cable running quite nicely around, and it's pretty organized here. I'm going to do a closer view so you can see this here. Here's the bottom of it. It looks pretty jumbled, but that's okay. The main thing you want to make sure is all of this looks good around here. So all we need to do now, put this back together, power it on, and put an OS on it. I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright guys, here is the case in all of its glory. It's put together. I know you can't see much, so I'm going to do something pretty unorthodox and use an LED flashlight just to shine inside so you guys can see that. It looks pretty nice. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to hook the power up to it, and we're going to test out this power together. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright guys, I have a monitor right here, computer right here. Here's the moment of truth. Key thing we're looking for, or listening for, is beeps. If you hear no beeps, then you're good. If you do hear beeps, then we have a problem. Over here, you see the monitor booting up. That's good, so we'll watch it here. We should see the BIOS here shortly. And we get a screen that says insert boot media. It wants us to go ahead and set up the operating system. So we have made it. I don't have a keyboard hooked up, but the fact that we're seeing this and not hearing any beeps, that is an excellent thing. So what I want to do now is verify and get to the BIOS, and we're good to go. Alright guys, I got the computer on. I'm hitting F2. I don't recall which key is the correct key, but that was it. F2 got me in. So here, I can verify everything. Here's the BIOS here. So guys, that is it. That's all I wanted to show you. That's how you build your very own PC. This was the $500 gaming PC slash $500 Nvidia Shield game streaming PC build. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you follow these steps as I've provided, you'll be able to build your own PC. I know it was pretty long. I may have to break this up into 2 parts. I don't know yet. I may have already done that. I guess you'll see. But guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.